so sexy, so good to me.
Hey, this is Sir Charles Carey. I want you to join me on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for the Tru-Mu Podcast. True Music. That's where we talk about all things.
I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, producer, engineer.
All things creative.
Me and my co-host, Carl T. Smith, the smooth one, will be glad to hear you, glad to talk to you, answer your questions, and talk all things music. The Tru-Mu Podcast, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be part of the energy.
I can see that thing that makes men stop, stand still, all in denial, suffer loss of will.
That's it, folks. You got to be part of the energy. Sir Charles Carey here with another episode of the Tru-Mu Podcast, which stands for True Music, but all things creative. And we're going to come at you again with I think a really important topic. If you are a musician, you can probably relate to it. If you are a creative, you probably understand it. So my man, Carl T. Smith, is going to help me navigate through these waters as we discuss songwriting. What's up, Carl?
Can't kill it and it won't die.
Man, we need to put a stranglehold on something. Man, you look like you was out there playing tennis, man. Did you win? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, too hot to be playing no tennis or any of that stuff.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good, man. I grateful I was out and about myself, but I think it's cooling off a little bit because it's starting to rain here now. So yeah. So how's New York doing, man? Is it calm?
It's so far it's calm. You know, starting to rain, drizzle over here. You know, I
You
guess
mean
you're
people
sending it up this way.
Look, people ain't creating havoc over the Diddy trial and the end results.
No, you know, not really.
Yeah, I've heard so much about it. I'm kind of tired of hearing it, but it's going to be around for a while.
I don't know. I don't know how much longer it's going to be around. Well, I guess it'll be around for a while, but I don't know how long this case is going to go. This is about it.
Yeah. Man, so today, we're talking about songwriting, and, I know that's something near and dear to your heart. Now, you probably have told me before, but I'm going to ask again because I don't remember off the top of my head. How long have you been writing songs, man?
Now I have to reveal my age, man. I mean,
Well, if it's more
I'm
than
only 21.
So you've been writing for a minute.
Yeah. Well, I say my cousin and I started writing some stuff, in the early mid 70s. We had gotten the piano in the living room.
And regular piano? Really?
Yeah, regular piano.
Nice.
Well, actually, that's kind of what I claimed myself to be. I was a piano player, until I met these guys that was musicians that were in bands and stuff like that. They would go, "Oh, I need you to play this keyboard." I'm like, "I am a piano player." Hence now I got all kind of keyboards and all kind of stuff like that. But that's what I started out. It was piano in the living room, and my cousin Rodney and I used to write songs. And then Kevin came around, and then we started recording on I still got it too, a little cassette recorder,
Flat skinny one.
The little ones.
Oh, like the hand Walkman?
No, they were about this big. I got it somewhere. I have to pull it out to show you.
The thing flips up.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I had one of those.
So, well, we had two, because we used to record on one and then play that while we overdub on the other one.
No doubt. That's where you do it back in the day. No doubt.
Well, you got to be creative when you're what I call a junkyard studio. That's how we were doing it.
I know that's right. So when these people were asking you to play, piano or keyboards, whatever, how did you play if the piano was in the house? Did they have a piano?
Well, I didn't. how I got a keyboard was an organ.
Okay.
A friend of mine, Kenny Van Wright, who's now doing movies, making a whole lot of movies and stuff like that. He had wanted me to come in and join this band, which was Butch Paisley and the Monsters from the Bronx. And Butch had a couple of keyboards, and he had an organ, this big red organ.
Right.
And I used to keep it in the trunk of my car. So that's the first introduction to a keyboard that I had. And then I decided after that, I had to get one. I had to get a keyboard. And at the time, they had these Sound City pianos. It was these little small Sound City pianos. And I actually went to West Manor to go and try to pick up one of those pianos, and they didn't have it, but they had this Elka, and I bought that. And that's how, I started with my first keyboard that would allow me to go out and play with people.
Did you ever get the ever so popular Fender Rhodes?
Had the Fender Rhodes.
Stop playing, my man.
Yeah, man, had that Fender Rhodes. Well, I think I had the Elka first, and then went right back to West Manor and bought that Fender Rhodes. I bought a Fender Rhodes. And I had I was actually going to buy a Wurlitzer.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna, because that's the one that I saw. But they didn't have the Wurlitzer. The Wurlitzer, there used to be a piano store like on 156th Street and 3rd Avenue by the precinct, and they had Wurlitzers. But for some reason, I went back up to West Manners, and they didn't have the Wurlitzer. They had the Fender Rhodes, and that's how I ended up with a Fender Rhodes.
Nice. Was it the 88 key or what?
73.
73. Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
73. That was heavy enough. 88. Oh my goodness.
I know. I had a friend. Well, you know him, Paul Lawrence. I remember when he finally got his Fender Rhodes. He came by the house and was like, "Yo, can you help me take it upstairs?"
Yeah,
he lived
right.
over there in the Lincoln. So I went over there with them, and to me, it's all a blur. But I just remember that because I looked up to him, because he was a guy that we were saying in church, of course, but he was a guy that started separating himself from, just hanging with us that sang in church, and started taking it really serious. He had that, and you probably know about this. He had the book of music that was so popular back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he was reading it about gigs and, how to write and how to get agents, all these different things. And
that's the source book.
I don't know if it was the source book. I remember one of the most popular titles was it This Book of Music was the title, or
okay, yeah, regular
that.
book of music. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about the music business, the industry, and stuff like that.
The book.
Yeah, it was pretty thick, but it had a lot of information in it. But he started doing all kinds of stuff, and showcases. But anyway, he got that Fender Rhodes, and I remember that was a big deal because when they started doing showcases, we would have it, and it was just such a pretty sound. Even now, it's still a pretty sound. But of course, keyboards have evolved with the sounds and the things that they can do and all that kind of stuff now.
Well,
but
yeah.
So if you had, let me just ask you, what's your songwriting process?
Good question. I don't know. The reason why I say that is it could start from chord progressions. Putting music together is fairly simple for me. Once
why? Because you play 12 instruments? Is that why, Carl?
14, man. 14.
Oh, excuse me. My bad.
Well, I don't play them. I ain't all that great at playing them all, but it gives me, what that does is it gives me a foundation on when I want to add stuff or do things. I can relate to like how it worked or how it felt when I used to do it. But
yeah.
But it all depends. And sometimes it could be lyrics. It could be a phrase. It actually could be just about anything, really.
It varies depending on how you feel, maybe.
No, just depends on what I'm given.
What do you mean?
Well, if it's a phrase, I can, I usually can put something to it. If it's some lyrics, I usually can, hook that up. If it's a piece of music, I usually can, do it from either end. So it's just a matter of what I'm presented with, and then that would lend to however or whatever I would be able to do with it.
So when you say if it's a phrase, are you talking about a music phrase or a lyrical phrase, text words?
Doesn't matter.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of because whatever it is, and then especially if I'm creating from scratch, then I'm going from whatever I put to it. You know what I'm saying? It goes from whatever I stick to it to however the flow. So if you had like a particular phrase that you want, I can come up with a couple of variations of that and then pick the one that works the best.
Wow. Have you ever written about your own like actual life experience, whether it's a mishap, a relationship, an exciting thing that happened? You ever written about something like that?
I have, but strangely enough, I didn't write like that. I would write whatever, and then it would come into my life. So I got to be careful what I write.
Wow. That's like it's like having a genie in a bottle. You can manifest stuff.
It just kind of happens that way. And matter of fact, Kevin and I, Kevin Fulton used to do a lot of stuff together. People don't know him. We would write stuff today, and we would write stuff today, and it wouldn't actually work or fit today, but years down the line, it became the thing that everybody else was wanting to do or everybody else was doing.
Okay.
So usually if I'm doing something, I'm always thinking like, okay, well, this is for the this will come out the next 10 years or 20 years, because it ain't gonna be ready for now.
Wow, really? So do you stand by that?
I do, but not really.
Okay.
In other words, I write for right now, but if I don't force it, because then I go, well, okay, this isn't for now, and somewhere down the line, something will come out and go, we used to do that back in, those days and stuff like that. So,
So how important, or does it stifle your writing process as it relates to, let's say you put a nice piece of music, or at least a draft together of music together, say rhythm section, drums, chords, maybe a little lead part in the instrumentation. How challenging is it for you to have lyrics complement or accommodate your music?
Easy.
It's easy for you?
Easy, yeah.
Okay.
Easy. It what usually happens for me is I'll have one piece of music and have 5 different lyrics and melodies, on the thing, for the same piece of music. Or I become stubborn, and I want to use, like I have a there are, I'm trying to think of what they are. Well, I off the head, there should be like 5 different songs, but there was a line that I wanted to use, which was kind of like, and it might have been, I'm not sure, I don't remember when Michael Jackson's Heartbreak Hotel came out.
Ooh, Carl.
But no, because I might have had the line before.
Okay.
But it's not the same line.
No, I'm just messing around, but yeah.
No, it happens. Listen, there's only 12 notes. Right. And from Beethoven till now, it's been repeated at least 1 million times.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? There's nothing I can do about it, you know, unless I come up with some other notes, you know. But I refuse to give up on this bass line.
Oh, really? Okay.
I refuse to give up on it. And so I use it for my opening when I do the show, when I'm performing, which is Real Good Time. And then I have another song that I put out on the CD, which is Old Darling.
Oh yeah. Both of those are good songs.
What? Well, I ain't gonna tell nobody, but those are the same bass lines.
Don't matter.
But I'm saying, but that's you know, I
Maybe,
mean,
maybe that's why they both good.
Well, maybe, but that same bass line I was using for another song called "Sexy Lady." There was quite a few other songs that I used.
Hey man, I ain't mad at you if you cheat. You cheat the way you want to cheat. That's your right.
I'm cheating
They cheat already with these samples and loops. So
samples and loops, you know, that's a whole nother thing. But let me ask you a few questions.
Okay.
What is your writing process?
Oh man, my writing process is, I think it's kind of maybe similar to yours, that it's organic. And this is the thing. I say there's a difference between making music and making music. And the difference is when you're making a song, writing a song, creating a song, saying different terminology, sometimes it just comes so naturally and free-flowing. And to me, those are the best feelings and how I enjoy writing a song. However, there are other times where I'll have one or the other, the lyrics or the melody, whatever it may be. And I'm really working at making things fit and make sense, because in my mind, you call me crazy, I think music is math also.
It is.
But it doesn't have to be. But in its origin, it's actually math, and it's a formula, but you are the architect of that formula. But because of industry standards, sometimes you're like, oh, I better not do that. That's more than so many bars, or it's a measure, whatever it may be. So to answer your question directly, I write from an inspirational perspective. If I hear music, whether it's a piano or a full rhythm section, and it sings to my heart and my mind, most times the lyrics just come right that, you know, and it's not preconceived.
So lyrics is your strong point.
I you know, it's hard to say, because it's weird. As I've gotten older, I think I've become a better musician, a better singer-songwriter, put it like that. But lyrics are a strong point, yes. Directly, yes, it is. But then there are other times when I'll create lyrics and then I'm like, really, what goes with this? What kind of rhythm is that? And then now I'm trying to sing what the piano should do. And my biggest challenge is, how does the drumming, the percussion, how does that work? You know, making that fit, you know, because a lot of people, they got these MPCs and they do. I'm not, in my opinion, I'm not that good at it. So I find alternative methods of creating a drum line to support the whole song. And, you know, because of technology, I look at every opportunity, especially if I know I really like the lyrics and I really like the rhythm and I'm in need of, you know, some drumming. So I look at all the, how would you say, they got, I kind of putting the cart before the horse, but I look at all the things that my DAW, my digital audio workstation, has. And I look at, I know a few musicians, so I was thinking about at times just having some musicians or drummers in particular just come and play some beats and play them in the rhythm I want. And then I can take those after recording it and play it to whatever song I need. And then there's other times when I use, you know, technology, you know. So, but yeah, lyrics are my strong point. I think, in fact, I know they have been my strong point all my life, because I'm always up in here. I'm always up in my head.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
and I write.
If you ain't up in your head, then who's gonna be there, right?
No doubt, no doubt. But I write because I'm a thinker. I'm an analytical and a creative and innovative person. I think we all are to some degree, but musicians probably spend more time in that space. So I guess being that I'm always thinking of stuff, it's like, wow, it's easy to come up with some words and, remember them without any real effort. So I was like that even back in the days in New York with the band,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you're working on your material, well, I'm gonna say this: I'm an overproducer.
Oh, you okay?
I don't know when to stop. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? I've destroyed songs, um, trying to fit so much stuff in a project. Whereas like today's music is pretty sparse. Are you do you like a lot of instrumentation in your music, or you like your music sparse?
In the first, I say couple of stages, maybe first two, possibly three stages, I probably overproduce, but I like it because I hear how maybe strings may complement woodwinds, bass may complement horn section, whatever. But a lot of times, depending on the song, I'll throw everything in the kitchen sink in it, and then I start to subtract. Oh yeah, let me move that down. That should come in later. Or oh, you know what? I really only need that because that's the same thing that the strings are doing, unless I want to have a harmonizing string and woodwind sound, whatever the case may be. But I do overproduce, but I like to overproduce so that I have the option of carving away and then saying, okay, which sounds best? I can make that comparison. Does the overproduction or the super production sound good? Or does the, as you say, sparse version sound good? Because they say sometimes less is best.
Yeah, less is more. Yeah,
Oh
sure.
yeah, or that too. Less is more. Yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
sure. Yeah. So ballads or fast songs?
At my core, I love ballads. I think as I've gotten older, even though I still like ballads a lot, I think I probably work more towards creating mid-tempo, not dance songs, but mid-tempo songs. I've got a couple like "You're Sexy." I look at that as a mid-tempo song. I have this song "What Can I Do." It's a mid-tempo, slow, but I'm working on song. And this is the thing: as I've gotten older, I'm connecting my creative talent and ability with my physical abilities as well, but at the same time, still trying to use modern and marketable instrumentation and arrangements. And for those that may not get that, if you look at Frank Sinatra, I know a lot of people say Frank Sinatra couldn't sing. And in some ways, they probably are right. I get it. But what he did, he crafted the song around his ability.
Well,
He
that's
couldn't hold notes like Sammy Davis Jr.
that's everybody.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Listen,
have you heard Mariah Carey's new song?
not the new one, no.
Man, it's a nice song, but it's not a signature Mariah. Now she can soar. She's got the whistle they always talking about.
Right.
This new song,
Yeah, but
sounds like these current no disrespect, ladies that might see this, sounds like these current chicks. She's got that money long, that Ari Lennox type phrasing, the lyric phrasing and lyric cadence, but that she can soar.
yeah.
So that means to me, even though she can do more with her voice, instead of the music being less, which is more, she's doing less with her vocal talents. And in a sense, it's more from the perspective of that's what the current industry likes.
Well, I was waiting so that I could say that.
Okay.
Because I'm actually working on the thing talking about independent artists and how how to support an independent artist and stuff. I was just working on it before I logged on. But the problem is there are the industry itself caters to 14 to 25.
Oh, that's right up your alley. I mean, you're a little
21
young,
and 21.
but...
But you understand what I'm saying? They cater to that kind of stuff. So, you know, in order to compete, in order to be played on, on radio and be put on these playlists and stuff like that, you have to cater to that. You have to, to do that. And right now, it's not about singing or technique. It's about fad. It's been about that for a long time. So yeah, she could do all of, whatever the case may be, but 14 to 25 don't want to hear it.
Yeah, so I think what she's done with this current song, I think it's called something about danger or something, living dangerously or something.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. No. So
it repeats. But
yeah.
40 and up appreciates it, but they don't see the market there in 40 and up. 40 and up is not being played on the radio station unless you're doing the Quiet Storm late at night.
Or your instrumentation sounds like it lends itself to the hip hop audience.
Yeah, well, they just simply take your vocals off of it and do something else with it.
Or like, look at You're Sexy, the song I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly like trap, but because I found a trap cadence that was complementary to the mood I was in when I wrote the song, that worked.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, I did like the song because also the lyrics, that worked. That came out organically, like, love you dripped in your smile. Pop, pop, da, boom, boom. So if I would have changed that beat, the song would have been very much less interesting.
Wouldn't work, yeah.
Now it would work, but it wouldn't be that interesting. But because of the trap beat, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. Okay, it kind of makes you go, okay, I'll pay a little attention.
Mm-hmm.
For our generation, I think this is just my assessment. We may feel like a song like You're Sexy is like, okay, kind of, we can get our groove on and it still lends itself to what's current.
Mm-hmm.
But if you change the drumming instrumentation or the drumming arrangement, it's like a song maybe from 80s, 90s. I don't know. I don't know how they would hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But those that were watching it and listening to it on YouTube, not bragging, well, quite a few thousand people liked it. So I was like, oh,
that's what matters.
I kind of got something.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just like with another song called Bay. Now, part of it was the phrasing Bay. People in our age range, and I could be wrong, don't normally speak with today's vernacular.
True.
My boo, bae, my honey, my baby, maybe, but boo and bae. So that phrasing just fell out my face and it works. So I said, oh, so I kept it. And again, like You're Sexy, quite a few people liked it. And I was like, oh, snap. I was shocked when I looked at the numbers. So, yeah. So, like I was saying about the Frank Sinatra thing, one of the people I like growing up, as far as vocalists, I like Philip Bailey. Howard Hewitt came after Philip Bailey, of course. There's another guy that sings, and he can't think of his name, but he's got a nice natural voice, but he can switch to falsetto. And my point is, I can still do those things, but I don't think that I personally have the vocal agility unless I'm doing a lot of singing and a lot of rehearsing. So I craft my songs around my normal ability. So when I do a show, I may be able to show off a little bit because now, okay, you done tuned up and honed your machine, your vocal cords, and you can do some extra stuff that you didn't do in the recording. But normally, I'm not trying to do too much, so I don't sound like I'm trying too hard, and it's reasonably within my range.
So when you So you do them in your I do the same thing. Even if I write and it's not in my range, like I'll write and complete a song and then I'll transpose it. But even if it's not in your range, well, no, because you write it in your range. That's what you say, right?
Right, but I don't push my range to the limits. The singing aspect, I don't sing to the part where voice might crack or maybe flat or something like that.
You have so can you play a little bit of your Sexy?
Yeah, I think I'm sure I can. Yeah. Let's see. And that's another thing I think is really simple. The song itself. Let's see. See what allows. Do I have the video on here? Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, go to music. Oh yeah, it's right on my computer. Absolutely. I don't know what I'm thinking about.
Well, I know it's got to be on. It's on YouTube and everything, right?
Yes, sir. Now I wonder if
you might be able to.
If I played it straight out, if it could be heard through the platform here and see.
Well, probably, yeah.
Or if it's going to sound thin. Let me see. But you'll let me know because I can't hear through the system. You're Sexy.
So usually, how many tracks? You know, some people will do 10 tracks. Some people will have 20 tracks and stuff. Usually, how many tracks do you lay down, or how many tracks is laid down when you do whatever your songs are?
It depends, because like we talked about overproducing, I'll produce a song with as many parts that I think are complementary, even those little sweet nuances. And if it's more than, let's see, drums, chords, bass, maybe an alternate chord, maybe a string, maybe some brass, woodwinds are definitely optional. Now, if it sounds too crowded, because everything for me needs to breathe, you know, maybe 5 to 6 tracks. That's not counting vocals. So maybe 5 to 6 instruments. And if that sounds clean and it's not overcrowded, I'll leave them, or I may modify things in parts. So I got. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I want you to finish that.
I've got your Sexy now. I don't know if you can hear it. Tell me if it's coming through like a transistor radio, if you can hear it. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I got work out a way to.
I was looking to see if this program would allow me to bring up audio. It allows me to bring up video, but I don't think I have any of the videos, the actual video. Do I?
Yeah, you got it. You have it on. You don't have it on YouTube?
Oh yeah, but I can't bring that through here, can I? I don't think.
You did it the last time when you brought up George's. Oh,
I shared. That's how I did it. I shared. I forgot how I did it. Okay, I shared. Yeah. Okay, so let me see.
So now, when you lay in your vocals, I know I'm interviewing you, right?
That's fine.
When you lay in your vocals, how many vocal tracks do you normally do?
32 tracks of vocals all the time, man.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just jiving. Look, that's what MJ did. Nah, but vocals, lead, Sometimes I go with the traditional 3-part harmony, but that's old school. So I may try a 2-part to complement the lead, and then an ad lib track. And if there's another ad lib for like grunts and groans and breathing or something like that, but normally one lead, one ad lib, and maybe about 2 parts of harmony.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's see. How do I do that? Invite? No, don't invite. Do we do a share?
Okay.
Oh, here you go. Share screen. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so share screen and go directly to allow. Yes, we're going to allow it. Here it is.
You're sexy, so good to me. You're sexy. All I need is one. You're sexy. Love your drip and your hair. Fragrance, fashion, and your flair. That Midas touch that you share. You can go out, turn up anywhere. You're cute, a beauty, not confusing. Everybody sees the way you're cruising. Stylish, blazing, so amazing. I know you know what I'm saying. You're sexy, so
Cool.
hey.
Yeah. Okay. So now,
Man, that's solid work, man. That's some good work, man.
listen. I give it to you. Hey, for real.
Look, man, it goes to show you it pays to grow up on TV.
Yeah, right. How about that?
Nah, but sometimes I think, and this goes to the conversation, sometimes we don't appreciate what we do, as far as songwriters, whether it's a show, music video like we just finished seeing, just the actual process. But yeah, man, I had fun because we had people in the studio when we shot the video. Now they knew of the song. I had my videographer, I had my quote unquote event planner / manager. I had a photographer there. I had a couple of actors that were on set for the street scenes and the studio scenes. And just the planning of it all, that energy, that kinetic, energy of knowing you're taking something that never existed. Now it does exist. Not only does it exist now, but you're visualizing it. You're painting that picture for the world to see. And I think that's what helped, give it its legs and give it its life. And for people, again, in our age range, like, oh, so we can get with this thing called music and music videos. Okay. That's how I fathom it,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For sure. So when you write, when you're writing your songs, and you up in your head, and you visualize the whole thing that you have, visualize usually you kind of mold it from what you visualize, or do you get creative as you go?
Usually I have, well, after the actual song has been created, you talking about from the video perspective?
Period. Writing, whatever.
From the writing perspective, it's normally again, if it's organic, the music is clicking. The chords go with the drumming, and then okay, what kind of I call it sweetness. What kind of sweetness or additives can I throw in there that makes it cute, nice, fly, whatever word, whatever adjective you want to use? Oh yeah, that compliments it good. So once I get all these little parts, for me, I love bass. So if I got a fly bass line and it's locking with the drums, and I got these little sweeteners, as I'm saying, I feel like, okay, you're doing something. This is speaking to wanting to be born. So from the musical creative perspective, I just love when it's organic. I don't have to try so hard. I don't have to go, oh man, I don't like that sound. Oh man, I don't like that song. Now, sometimes that's required, but the initial tracks, they need to speak to me immediately, and I know I'm onto something. Then the rest of it sort of like just falls into place.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with the video, because with the video, whatever it's that video or another video, if I know there's a location I can use, regardless of the season, indoor or outdoor, I'm going to take advantage of it. And then as I think, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot, let's say Central Park, whatever, Central Park. And I'm like, okay, no, I should go by the ice rink. Oh no, I should go where the sailboats were. No, let me go to that big field where they have the concerts. So now that I know it's Central Park, I can envision several locations that would be perfect. From there, it's game, it's on, because being a videographer or having an eye for the image or the imagery of the song I want to shoot. And sometimes I got free actors, just the people in the background. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm getting excited just talking about it.
Yeah. Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
So for you yourself, as it relates to your music videos, do you ever shoot on scene, or how do you go about the process of putting the visual with the actual music?
I've shot on location. I've done on location. But lately I've used some
footage.
I use some footage, but I use some green screen. I have a song that I did. This is how I started trying to mess around with technology. I've always rode the wave of technology.
Okay.
As the recording things started to develop and all that other stuff, I used to take equipment. I call it the junkyard studio. I would take equipment and put them all together, and I bought I had a 4-track first, and I hooked all that stuff up and would record, and then when there was more tracks, when it was affordable, I would get an 8-track and on until I had a 48-track studio twice. But I would try to. I was given a green screen in some software, and I had a living room that might have been like a 3x3 space that was left in the living room, and I did the video for one of the songs that I have, which is Your Man. If I Was Your Man.
Okay.
And the other song was Love Zone. I did Love Zone. And I did all of that in the middle of that little small space in my living room. And then, did the green screen, learned green screen and did the stuff in the background and all that other stuff like that. And then since then I would however, whatever, I would do some green screen if I did some location, if I, and now it's even wider now, because now you can grab AI and get the footage that you want. Right.
So, speaking about that, that was something I was going to segue to. AI has really shown up in a big way. Well, certain software, certain apps. And as you know, personally, you have, people that that are using AI for the music production. What are your thoughts on AI in music production, whether it's the actual music or the video that's conveying the songs? What's your perspective?
I mean, I'm still a old school, nuts and bolts kind of guy, but just like anything else that is developed, it's a tool. And it's a tool to be used. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
it definitely as a tool beneficial to use.
You think it could be? I know we're in the early stages, even though there are probably companies that are ready to release a mother load on us when we least expect it. Do you think it can be too much for the songwriting industry, for the music industry?
I was going to say, as a creator, as a creator, I kind of prefer to, like you say, be organic.
Yeah.
But I can see how the tool can help an organic writer or organic whatever, expand on what they're doing. Now, if you rely solely on it, then I'm kind of like, you're not really a writer, or you're in the business,
right?
Or anything.
You're an innovator more than a creator, to me.
I don't even know if you're an innovator, because you would still be using whatever it is that you can do and enhance it with whatever you need. You know what I'm saying? It's you're I don't know if to say that you're not creating anything if you just use AI to create everything that you have.
Technically, I don't think that the person that uses AI is a creator, but I have to give them some credit from the perspective something was laying around or something was online. Okay, you got a subscription to it, or you found a way of getting access to it, so you took it and now you cut and paste and put things in place. So I'll give you some credit for innovation, but to me, you're not really, you are creating, but not in the fullest sense of creativity.
Well, that's kind of like loops, I mean,
exactly.
For a long time, I don't use loops because usually
I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't. The only reason why I don't use loops is only because I can usually play whatever it is. And the reason, not because I can play it, is just that if I would hear it, if the loop would have a certain sound or a certain instrumentation or whatever the case may be, and I might want to hear it with a different instrumentation or a different drum sound or different things, so I would have to play it for me to use it, but normally I don't actually, I can't even think of one time that I used a lot of loops.
So you're a dinosaur then?
I am a dinosaur. In so many ways, I am a dinosaur.
Nah, man, it's all good. So are you anti-splice and all these other things? Or?
No. I was a splice king when I had my two track.
Oh, okay.
So
no, I'm talking about the software.
I know what you're talking about. But
Have they been out that long?
I was a splice king. Yeah, man. Yeah. I used to take. I would have guys. They would come into the studio and they would want just this section to loop for 5 hours. You know what I'm saying? And I would splice it. And make it. Matter of fact, thinking of one time I had Colonel Abrams.
I'm not cool.
He had a song, a ballad called "Table for Two."
Okay,
right.
I remember the title.
And he wanted it extended because it was just a short piece of thing, and he wanted it extended. And that's what we did. We extended it. And this is before like the loop kind of thing. This is when you used to take the 1/4-inch tape.
Yeah.
Recorded as many times and then splice it and put it together and make it longer. So I'm not anti-loop.
Okay.
Not at all, and once again, it's a tool that would help you, but if that's your whole creation, then
See, I know people that actually do that they go to splice, put the entire composition together.
Yeah, I am.
And I'm not against that, but I just think this is the thing. When or if it ever fades out, that whole splice thing, if it does, and you spend so much time just doing this cut and paste, song, cut and paste, you're gonna lose your skill set.
Well,
not you, but the person that does that.
No, I got you. See, I don't think it'll ever go anywhere because it'll just redevelop in a whole nother way. Because, quite frankly, if I'm creating or anything, I used to play the stuff all the way through, but I cut and paste. Don't run.
I heard the door. I'm like,
I know. I'm saying, don't run. Somebody there?
I don't hear any noise or ruffling, so I'm assuming I'm still good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, is there a right or wrong way to write a song?
Nope. No, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to write a song. I speaking of loops and people, there are people who can, and I can't do it. I cannot do it. Who can take like 7 different loops, put it together, and it sounds great. Now, what happens is I can play that. I can play the completed version of that.
Right.
And I can put that together and I can do all the stuff, but I can't think that up for nothing.
Okay.
I've tried. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it. Nah, I can't do it.
So you're saying whether you start with lyrics or music, you put the song together piece by piece in whatever shape, form, or fashion. Is this up to the writer or the creator to create their song, their composition, in whatever way that works for them, regardless of genre?
But yeah, I mean, again, this stuff is just a tool. Now when you start talking about like there's people that I run into, and especially I do a lot of sound gigs, and there are people that I run into. And the guy walks up and he sets up his keyboard and he goes, I am a keyboard player and I am a professional. And I've been around. I've done big gigs. I was at the shrine, I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? He plays keyboards, but he can't play what the people, would want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't hold that against them. My only thing that I always say is be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Because if you come up and you open your mouth and you go, I am the best, then people already is ready to shoot you down.
Yeah, and you better not make a mistake when it's time to show up.
Yo, listen, I'm trying to tell you, I mean, there's people, oh yeah, I do this and I do that, and I hang with this and I do that. And I'm like, oh, that, that's cool. All right. But then, what that does is it elevates my expectations or anyone's expectations, and then when the expectations are elevated, now you expect it, there you go again. Now you expect it to walk through walls and stuff. You better go check that out.
That's a phone call. I got to get back with them. We got a show coming up in July. So I had an idea, and we can work out the rules. But how do you feel about verses?
Verses?
Yeah.
You mean the challenge verse kind of thingy? What they have? I've watched a few.
Did you like them?
I think they were okay. I think they were okay. I just think that some of them that I saw, I don't think that I'm a fan of competition between groups and peers, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
you see, that's my thing. When I first heard of it, my thought was me against and the word
Right.
against is what you think, me against you.
Right.
And then as it continued to seem to be a thing, I liked verses from the perspective of you show your stuff, I show my stuff, and we still cool. You know, I ain't got to try to pull out the jammy on you and, you know, or sabotage your sound, man. And
Yeah. But I've
So-
seen a few.
so what do you think about you and I having a verses? Because we're not coming from that negative space.
Well,
whether it's all the recordings of Carl T. Smith or recordings that maybe Carl has produced, you know, we have a verses. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, I'll try anything once.
Yeah, I'm down with that too. My same.
How would it work?
Well, I guess since we're here, you know, we would play our songs. Like we could either do it here or we could do it Zoom. And same way they do it, man. Like you got your studio, right? Can you play something? I'd just like to see if I can hear it. Can you play anything that you have on your system?
Well, I know I can. I probably will have to do some stuff to set it up.
What about just to hear about some sound? It don't have to be nothing specific, just in general.
But let me see. Can I is there a way to share on my side? Let me see. What's this percent? Percent. What is that? Percent. I can share.
Do you have to do it that way? Can't you just play it off your system?
Well, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it. Let's see.
Try.
I know when you all right, let's see.
See, I was playing it from the actual computer I'm on. If I was in my studio, I would be playing it from other speakers.
Well, yeah, I would be able to play. Let me see. Let me go with I'll go with this one. Let's see.
Yo, if you guys are watching this is the Tru-Mu Podcast, and I'm challenging the Smooth One to a versus, and we're trying to see if it can work for next week, not this week, for next week.
Well, I'm gonna tell you when my advertisement. Can you hear that?
Low.
Not really. You can't hear it, right? And if you're gonna do verses, then it's got to be. So what I'm going to do is, matter of fact, I guess I have a thing here. Let me see if I can make it work. I don't know if I want to do it while we're
on live,
online, right?
Maybe we can do a test during the week.
I think I can play some stuff. You know what? Here we go. Let me try.
Okay.
Let me try. All right. So,
Hey, babe. That's not trash. Sorry, folks. So if you're wondering what's happening, folks, we are just trying to see if it's possible that we can do something a little different for the next show. And as you know, Carl works through some of the nuances, you know, I'm trying to see if it can work. And we probably will have to do a test at some point. But so far, if you have any questions about songwriting, the things that he shared, the things that I have shared, please feel free to post your comments, especially those of you that are creatives, musicians, singers, lyricists, you know, even videographers. If you are creative and you ever thought about writing a song, even if you're a poet, by all means, post your comments. and talk about your creative process, because that's what today's podcast is about. How easy or difficult is it to write a song? So with that being said, I'm going to get back to the smooth one and see if he has worked something out. So I think we're going to close out the session and talk behind the scenes in the green room and see if we can figure out for the next time how we'll go about this project. With that being said, remember, be part of the energy.